Do you want to elaborate on this guy? Because I feel like that's a very casual way to put this person who you're talking about.
It's pretty new, and he's a guy, and I'm a girl. Can I make it any more obvious?
I was a girl.
And I'm blushing.
Well, it's all coming together. He seems pretty cool. He watches The Bachelor with us.
Insert ad about Hinge.
99% of millennials meet their future spouse on the internet. That's a statistic I just made up, but I think it's true. I think it's definitely in the 90s.
All right, I have to look it up.
Okay.
Right now. According to Stanford.edu, online dating is the most popular way couples meet.
That's a
Boom! Winner!
lot. I zoned out a little bit, but yes.
Yeah,
that's a lot.
We'd have to fact check Stanford because we're smarter.
Yeah, we're smarter than Stanford.
But yeah,
anyway.
Hinge.
So should we say who we are?
Yeah, let's do it.
Well, I'm Katya.
I'm Hayley.
And this is Night Classy, a podcast where two teachers unwind, sip wine, and discuss the topics they wish they could teach at school. So, Hayley, what are we drinking?
Tonight, so we started out with this guy from Hinge gave me 2 glasses of Jam Jar wine. It's a sweet Shiraz. The year is 2018. It is packed with juicy berry flavors and hints of dark chocolate.
Yeah.
It's like a dessert wine. I think you hypothesized it'd be good with like champagne to add a little something.
What I like to do, I don't know if I made this up or I heard it somewhere, but I like to take champagne. Oh my God. I've had too much Jam Jar dessert wine.
Enough.
But I like to take champagne and mix a little bit of port in it. And like, I don't know if you know wine, but port is like a really thick, super sweet wine. And it goes really well in champagne, and you get super fucking wasted because it's a lot of alcohol, but it's delicious. And I feel like this wine was really good. Like it tasted great, but it was so sweet. Like it's kind of hard to drink by itself, at least for me.
You get drunk? I feel like I don't even know you.
Oh my God, what's happening? So we talked last time about how we're gonna decide who shares their story first based on a breathalyzer test. And we were testing out the breathalyzer earlier today, and it seemed a little inaccurate. Like I blew a 0.10, and then I thought that was way too high, so I blew again and then got a 0.05. And then Hayley went and blew a 0.11 and then did you blow a 0.00 the next time?
Yeah.
So it's
very erratic. It's counting down now, so I'm going to blow into it now, and then maybe we'll do a second round.
Yeah,
and see.
I think we should.
Difference.
Yeah.
Okay, it's thinking. It's reading it. I got a 0.11.
Okay.
So let's do it again. Let's see.
Because I think it matters how long you blow into it. Because when I got the 0.10, I blew into it for like 6 seconds, and then the next time I blew in for like 3 seconds.
The manual says 3 to 5.
Yeah. So, and also we weren't changing out the thing there's like a little plastic thing you plug in to blow into, and we weren't changing it out. So we're going to change it out this time. Hopefully that'll help.
And it starts beeping.
I think it starts beeping when you're done blowing into it.
Okay. So we should listen to that. Okay. Now I got a 0.07. Should we do
so
2
you're
or 3?
about at a 0.08.5.
All right, math teacher, I'm going to fact check you because I can't do 0.11 plus 0.07 equals 0.18 divided by 2 is 0.09.
Okay.
You were pretty close. All right. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hand it over.
I'm going to give you a new mouthpiece.
Right.
Bada boom. Here you go.
So you're at 0.09?
Yep.
Okay, I blew a 0.05. That's definitely not right.
All right. Well,
we're going to try again.
Blow
I've
harder.
had half a bottle of wine plus a glass of the other wine. So we're going to go again. I blew a 0.05 again. Wow, I need to catch up.
Yeah, I've been slamming them.
Yeah,
I told you I was ready at 1:30.
I could still drive right now legally. Wow, okay. So I'm going to play catch up while Hayley tells me a story.
Okay, cool.
Let's do it.
So I have a lot of ideas about things that I want to do for each lesson. And this one kind of started out as one thing. Like last week, I thought I knew what I was going to do, and I told Alec about it, and he liked it. but it's one that I want more time for because I want it to be really good.
Yeah.
But in the process of kind of exploring ideas, I realized that there were a lot of interesting questions that were being generated by Google suggestions.
Okay.
So you know how you go to type into the Google box?
Yeah, and then there are all these like questions people ask.
Yeah.
I encountered that today with my case, and I was like, oh my God. It's really funny.
So that got me wondering, like, you see like things on Facebook and Twitter, like people go to type in something and they're like, what the fuck are these questions? Why are people asking these?
Yeah.
And there are these questions that I've never thought of, and I'm not even sure like Google even has the answers to.
I'm sorry. Can I interrupt you for a
Yeah.
quick? Have you seen the Google Answers or Yahoo Answers, whatever the fuck it is, where people like ask if they're pregnant and there's like all the misspellings of the word. Am I pregnant? Am I? There's a YouTube video of someone reading it.
Yes, I have seen that. It's so good. And that was my whole episode. So fuck you.
If I could just listen to you read misspellings of the word pregnant for 30 minutes, I'd be into it.
You know what? Let me just Google it right now. Misspelling.
No, we don't have time. We don't have time.
Never
just
mind,
go for it.
Okay, all right. So what I wanted to do is basically I started typing sentence stems into Google for questions to see what I could find.
All right.
So the first one I did was how often does.
Okay.
Can you like give me any guesses you have that like Google suggested?
How often does a leap year happen?
Yeah, that was one of them.
Okay.
Yeah, nice.
I feel like I'm on Family Feud.
That is not one that interested me the most,
No,
though.
that sounds really boring.
I picked two. Do you have any other guesses that you want to throw out there?
How often does an eclipse happen?
Yes, that is one of them.
You guys, I'm so smart.
You're so basic, bitch.
I can tap into the basic mind of an American. Or we have the same mind and our same search engines pop up.
That's true, because it's based on multiple things.
Yeah.
Do you have any other guesses?
How often do I have to take my birth control?
Nope, but there is the top two are how often does a dog go into heat and how often does a cat come into heat?
Hey, so I'm close.
And then the third one, which is actually one that I researched, was how often does someone die? And that's what I searched.
Yeah.
And the very first one, the source, well, first of all, I want to do a little like back history on how Google presents its searches, like what comes first. So they do like a program called like spiders or crawlers. And I'm going to go through really quickly like their few factors. So the first one is that the frequency and location of keywords within the web page. So how many times does the keyword that you're searching for appear on this site? Okay. The second one is how long has the web page existed? So a lot of people are creating a lot of new things every single day, but what lasts? Survival of the fittest, basically, but with the internet.
Yeah.
And then the last one, which on this site they claim to be like the most important thing, is how many web pages link to that site determines its relevance.
Okay.
Which apparently gives it like validity, and it's like a way, it's not an easy way to cheat the system, because if other people believe in it, then it must be pretty legit.
Right.
Okay. So I Googled how often does someone die? So it pulls up this what if website, and it says the book : what if serious scientific answers to absurd hypothetical questions. And it starts with the title of it is Death Rates, and it starts with a quote. It says, if one randomly chosen person were to die each second somewhere on Earth, what impact would it have on the world population? So not at all the question that I typed into Google.
But a great question.
A great question. So I'm going to share with you the tidbits that I took away from it. And I'm going to read directly from the website and then tell you my basic takeaways from the rest of it.
Okay.
So the first like 3 lines basically say, every second 1.8 humans die and 4.2 humans are born. Under Mr. Petzal's plan, which, by the way, I don't know who this is, and I only allowed myself 15 minutes.
It's Mr.
max.
Petzal. What are you talking about? Everyone knows him. Keep going.
Okay. The number of deaths would then increase to 2.8. Okay. So this is randomized. Thanks, Mr. This randomized culling would obviously be a big deal. It would be responsible for over a third of all deaths, but at least for a while, our population would still continue to grow, which is like a huge thing. Overpopulation right now is a big thing going on.
Big deal.
Go and vegan. Then the last, we'll see. At 1 death per second, any given person currently has a 0.464% chance of being chosen each year. Only some countries have a death rate lower than 4.64 per 1,000 people.
Okay.
And
so that would be like 0.044.
percent.
Okay.
Yeah. So places like that, like Paraguay, and like basically not the U.S. The U.S. has a, because not that everything's relative to the U.S., but I remember.
But we're in the U.S. So.
We're in the U.S. The U.S. has a death rate of 8.4 people per 1,000. And
wait, so that's higher.
Yes. And that's what's interesting is like the life expectancy versus death, which is what I'm about to get into. So I'm going to skip what I was going to talk about, but U.S. has a death rate of 8.4 per 1,000 people, and it's expected to go way up once the baby boomers basically age out.
Right.
Okay. And the next thing that they recognize is that the death rate also affects the birth rate, and that people act differently based on how they view morality and world events.
Mortality.
Yes. So it's a lot more complicated than what I thought it was.
Okay. That is, there's a lot of things coming in. Like, because death rate, it doesn't necessarily correspond with mortality, like life expectancy. Mm-hmm. Okay. That's where I was getting confused.
There are a lot of things that go into it. So if this idea that's initially posed happened, it would this article states that it would definitely affect the population, but it would not be too crazy for our species as a whole. Like if we doubled our death rate based on our birth rate and everything else right now, it would not deplete us.
Oh, it'd be way better to raise our death rate. Are you kidding?
And then the last thing that I have here is that the article states that everyone dies. There's a 100% death rate.
Yeah.
But also, and I really like this because I've never thought about it this way, is that, in quotes, the observed death rate for the human condition is about 93%. That is around 90% or 93% of all humans have died. So right now, in the whole existence of humans, 93 are dead and 7% are alive right now.
Wow. So 7% of all humanity ever is
alive right now.
That's crazy. We're part of the 7%, Hayley. How do you feel?
We're the top 7%. Evolution. So there's that. And I thought that was interesting. And there's a lot more that we could talk about, but we got to keep this rolling.
Yeah.
All right. The next sentence stem that I typed into Google was top 10 ... And the winner that I picked was top 10 ways to fart. And I was like, why is this a thing? I have to know more.
Are there more than one ways to fart?
Just wait. Okay. So the number one result was this article, and it's titled How to Make Yourself Fart on medicalnewstoday.com. And I've got some quick tips for you.
Oh, great.
Number one, do yoga. And they recommend you do it in a private area. Basically, morph your body into a different position.
Into a way that your asshole sucks in air.
The number one is child's pose. So you're on your back and like basically bring your knees like to your forehead. The second one is knees to chest pose. So that's also on your back, but not so like bring your knees up so far. And then they do like happy baby pose, which is where you like
grab
reach
your
your
toes.
toes.
Yeah.
They recommend squats and twists.
Okay.
And then the second overall tip is to rub your abdomen. You can release trapped gas and get rid of cramps. I've done this by like intuition. I was like, maybe this will make me feel better.
Yeah.
Have you ever
like rubbed my abdomen? I
Yeah.
don't think so.
All right. Well, everyone's different. And then it was like basically like food and drinks also help. So carbonated beverages, chewing gum, that always gives me gas.
Really? Chewing gum?
Yeah. And it makes my jaw hurt too.
Nicotine and caffeine is what does it for me.
Okay. Yeah. Caffeine is listed here. Dairy products, fatty or fried food.
Yeah, dairy products for sure.
And then they also give recommendations about how to hold in a fart. Their number one,
just hope for the best.
They say to basically clench them cheeks.
Yeah.
And then shift your body to shift the gas. So it's kind of like doing a pee-pee dance, like the way it goes. My whole takeaway from that one is that gas is normal. Let it out. And just let it happen.
All the time?
No, not all the time. I remember one time in my 7th grade Spanish class, we had those desks that you sat in that like wrapped around the chair, and then underneath it had like a basket.
Yeah.
And I had like propped my feet up on the basket, and it made a sound that made it sound like farting. And I was so socially awkward at that stage of my life. I was like, guys, that was my binder. Like that was my feet against my binder. I didn't fart. And I was like, oh God, I'm making it worse. And then it just kept going.
It
It
was
was
so
like
much worse.
It was like word vomit. Oh God, it was terrible.
Yeah.
Oh well. Are we ready for the next thing?
Yes.
Okay, so the second to last thing that I searched was the most beautiful, or the most. And then the thing that I actually looked into was the most beautiful roof in the world. And I want to know, what do you envision if you were to Google the most beautiful roof in the world?
I envision like perfectly spaced out like roof tiles, but made out of like something better than they normally are. I don't know. Or maybe someone had a roof made out like a roof. What do you like, shingles? Is that what it's called? Like shingles made out of like marble or like something cool. I don't know.
Okay.
What is it?
Well, I'm going to tell you what I pictured, and then I'm going to tell you what it actually is.
Okay.
So I pictured something similar, like an actual roof. For me, it was like somewhere in Greece where you see, all of these like white buildings on like the country beachside type thing. Right. And I pictured a ton of like plants and shit, like the most beautiful rooftop in the whole fucking world.
Yeah.
And so I Googled it, and the number one result is a book on Amazon with a recommended reading age of 6 to 9 years old.
What? What is it? What kind of kids book is about roofs?
So it's not technically about roofs, okay? It is a book about the rainforest and the canopy.
Okay.
And it's written by Catherine Lasky. It's published in 1997. And all of the reviews on it are glowing.
Wow.
So no wonder it's like one of the top 10. You should get it for your
10. Class.
My kids are like 3 and 4. Maybe I should.
But if you read it out loud to them, it's about the rainforest. They'd get it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true.
Yeah.
She has glowing reviews.
That's awesome.
So I just want to read a few excerpts and then move on. Basically, this is from the school library journal, and they say that the book is not simply another chronicle about the rainforest ecology. And what makes it exceptional are, one, the full color photographs that document it all, but the work that is described to get it there. So the author is a female, and what they really recognize is that she describes the methods that she uses to conduct research in this environment, and it's sometimes under like extremely difficult circumstances. And they give the example of like gathering leaves in Cameroon. She had to hang over the edge of an inflatable raft suspended beneath a dirigible. I don't even know what that means. I didn't have time because like time was like counting down on my limit.
What you're trying to say? So
dirigible.
I don't fucking know.
So there's that. Sounds dangerous. And then in Belize, she uses walkways high above the ground, and she also allows her young sons to join her in the canopy.
Whoa,
so basically, I don't know. That's all she says. Like I gave myself 10 minutes to do this one because I was like, okay, this is an Amazon site. # thanks Jeff Bezos. But the whole thing that like the common theme in a lot of these reviews is that quote unquote, her story might encourage young women to consider science careers.
That's great.
And it's described as an unusual and effective book.
Okay.
Right.
So I'm just kind of confused about how a book about the Amazon rainforest. I
think like it was published and put out there in 1997.
Yeah.
So the world has changed.
So it's a little different.
A lot.
Yeah.
But if you want to see,
kind of patronizing to me, but
yeah.
Okay.
And here's the cover of it.
Okay.
So totally not what I expected.
We're encouraging women to join science careers because the rainforest is so beautiful. It seems a little shitty, but okay.
Yeah. And that's what it was.
Yeah.
That was the number one thing.
Okay. Interesting.
And that was just one review. Another review, it says that Meg Lohman has one of the world's most exciting jobs. She's a scientist who studies the rainforest canopy. The day she takes her son to work, they strap on equipment and join her in the treetops.
You as a woman could be a scientist because you can take your son to work.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah. You're right.
Okay.
And that was like, although it was the very last one, but when I typed in the two words, the most, that was the very last one, the most beautiful roof in the world. And It's this book from 1997. It does seem
amazing.
But at the same time, like it's deemed amazing for reasons that like are different than why we would deem it amazing right now.
Yeah.
All right, next one. We talked about the sentence stem was most messed up.
Yeah. ...
And I chose Disney movies.
Okay.
My source is Elite Daily. That was the number one. And there were 10 of them, but I picked the top 3. Yeah. Number 1 is Finding Nemo.
Really?
Yep.
That surprises me.
And here's what they said. Basically, they said that Nemo's dad couldn't take care of him or his mom, and that's why he ended up with this tragic handicap that's a constant reminder of what happened to them.
Okay, but how could he have taken care of them against that like horrifying fish that like did whatever the fuck? I don't even really remember that well.
Yeah. It was just like
a horrifying fish that came into the enemy. He couldn't do anything about it.
And to me, like, I was like, this is so wrong because like bad things happen all the time and it's about their perspective. Yeah. Like
he still like took care of his son with his son's like new disability, and he was a good dad. That's not messed up. What's messed up is all the fucking princess movies that are terrible.
So that was the number one in their opinion. And they also cite that the girl in the dentist office is, I quote, definitely going to be a serial killer one day.
That doesn't make it a messed up movie. It's just kind of funny.
So to me, I was like, the reason why you're saying it's messed up is like not for the right reason. Like to me,
right? Like they're not messed up because of social issues and like actually important things. It's messed up because like it's tragic that the mom and the fish got hurt. I don't understand.
Even to me, like, it's not messed up because that's life, and like it makes things more relatable because so many people have these experiences.
Totally.
And to see it in a movie, a children's movie, and you're like, wow.
It's good to see tragic experiences in children's movies because it makes children that have been through tragic experiences feel more normal.
Yeah, because it is normal. Yeah. It is normal. It's something that should be talked about.
Absolutely.
So this whole article, like, that I don't agree with, but the next one is The Little Mermaid.
Yeah, that's a fucked up one.
My whole takeaway that they said was she risked her greatest asset, in their opinion, which was her voice, for a guy. And I quote, she literally has to change herself for her man.
Yeah, for a man true. She like got a glimpse of and then got rid of her voice, which like essentially your voice. I mean, there are other ways to speak your mind besides your voice, but in that movie, like pretty much without her voice, she was
like it's her singing voice, but also your voice is your voice.
Yeah,
and it's not like he asked her to change, but she thought that she had to change.
Yeah, I think universally, The Little Mermaid the pretty much like worst princess movie in terms of feminism.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
It's pretty bad.
The third one,
but also has great songs.
It does. I know all the words.
So good.
I love anti-feminism. No, I'm just kidding.
I love Disney songs, no matter how problematic they are.
It's Disney, bitch. Yeah. The third one that I found was for Beauty and the Beast, and again, this is out of 10. I didn't do all of them, but this is what Elite Daily, so very serious source, said. They said that the whole theme of the movie was domestic abuse.
Yeah, it kind of was. It was kind of like the whole theme of the movie was kind of Stockholm Syndrome.
That's exactly what they said. She falls in love with the beast, and he like could have easily like he was on just a thread that was about to break, and just like backhanding her with his fucking like claws.
Right, he was so close. But also Belle is such a great character because she was strong. She tried to escape. She loved books.
Yeah.
She like helped her dad out. But then also she was a victim of Stockholm Syndrome. And what can you do?
What can you do?
What can you do?
Mental health, mental illness. It is what it is.
Yeah.
So those are the top 3 most messed up Disney movies according to Elite Daily. Go ahead.
I don't know. I'm thinking of Snow White and Sleeping Beauty, and
I didn't even read the rest of them because I was taking notes and had 10 minutes. And
Fox and the Hound. If you're putting Finding Nemo above Fox and the Hound, just in terms of like sadness, I don't know.
Let me see.
I'm a little mad.
Let me find the article again and see what the other ones were, just so you can know. Okay, here we go. So we had Finding Nemo, Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast. Number 4 is Sleeping Beauty.
Yeah.
Number 5 is Pinocchio.
Pinocchio was pretty fucked up. So was Dumbo. Dumbo was all about animal abuse. That's super fucked up.
Number 6 is Pocahontas.
Oh, also bad.
Yeah. Bad. Really bad.
Yeah. And also, just problematic in terms of like depicting history in a completely wrong way.
Yeah. And this is just one that quote that jumps out at me is that it completely whitewashes.
Absolutely. But so do most princess movies like before very, very recently.
Right.
And even in recent times in some cases.
Mm-hmm. Number 7, Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs.
Yeah.
Dwarfs. Anyway. Number 8, 101 Dalmatians.
That is pretty fucked up. The whole plot is she's trying to make a coat out of puppies.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I
love
watched that movie. And their last quote, their last line for the whole paragraph thing is that basically Cruella de Vil is dog Hitler and she's gearing up for a puppy holocaust.
Ooh, okay, anyway, that's quite the comparison.
They don't even capitalize Holocaust. I feel like they should.
Okay.
All right.
I have no. How can this article be the first one on? Okay. But anyway, wrapping it up, most Disney movies are fucked up.
Yeah. So you have to be analytical while watching Disney movies. And you also have to be analytical, I think, in general when Googling things, because it's really easy to fall into a bias of your own life.
And it's the first, like, how is that the first thing that comes up? And I have so many disagreements.
Yeah, there's a lot to talk about. So I wanted to, bring to light the search engines we use and technology today, but also I wanted to give you like a real life glimpse about the things that interest me that may interest other people and tell you what I found. So if you enjoyed it, I'm so glad for you. If you want more,
start Googling random words and see what comes up.
Let me know what you know. Message us on Instagram at Night Classy. You can also email us, but that's for losers. No, I'm just kidding.
No, you can email us at nightclassypod@gmail.com.
And
I'll read it.
That's my part of the episode. And I'm excited to see what Kat has to say.
Yeah, let's hear a quick word from our sponsor and we'll be right back. Hayley, has anyone ever been a total dick to you?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Well, good news. Now with Dicks by Mail, you can anonymously send them a box of candy dicks and politely tell them to eat one. Dicks by Mail sends dick-shaped candy anonymously to your friends, coworkers, grandma, whatever. Their products include gummy dicks, confetti dicks, and very realistic-looking chocolate dicks that come in both milk and white chocolate.
Oh my gosh. You know what? I can actually confirm they are very realistic-looking chocolate dicks. My best friend had one sent to her, and she was calling our whole friend group like, did you send this? Did you send this? She sent a picture in the group chat, like, and there are veins. Like, it is very realistic. I went over, ate some of her dick, you know, like best friends do. It's really quality chocolate too. And it's so fun, like the mystery of who it came from. And it's just such a funny product. It's great.
Right. It's meant to be a fun experience. Dicks by Mail was created to put a smile on people's faces. It's not meant to be a threat or a way to bully. If you're sending this with the intent to ruin someone's day, then maybe it's you who needs to eat a bag of dicks.
Probably. And if you want to eat a bag of dicks or put a smile on someone's face and a dick in their mouth, visit dicksbymail.com, dicksbymail.com, and enter the promo code Night Classy, the name of this podcast, Night Classy, for 25% off of your first order. Go check it out now.
Hello.
What is up?
Welcome back. We ate some mac and cheese. We drank some more wine. That means I'm ready to tell you my story. And I'm so excited about this story. So what got me into podcasts originally was true crime. And so I kind of wanted to talk about my favorite true crime story.
Yes.
And that is the Axeman of New Orleans. Have you heard of him?
No.
All right. Well, I'm so excited to tell you about it.
Oh my God. I'm excited that you're excited. It just tells me it's going to be good.
It is so good. So picture yourself. It's a spring night in May 1918 in New Orleans. So pretty long ago. And Joseph and Catherine Maggio were sleeping in their apartment above their grocery store. And later the next morning, the police would find them with their throats slit, their heads bashed in, dead.
Dead? They're dead?
They are dead.
No!
So Catherine's head was actually, her throat was slashed so much she was almost decapitated.
Whoa.
And I believe the axe was found on the property. So their heads were bashed in with the blunt side of an axe. And the creepiest part of the story was, so the police went in, they investigated. The only evidence they found a chalk writing pretty nearby that said, Mrs. Joseph Maggio will sit up tonight. Just write Mrs. Tony. So that's kind of like a cryptic message left in chalk. It's very mysterious, very dark. They basically just got knocked out, and so the police like automatically thought like maybe it could be a burglary, but they looked around and there were valuables left in plain sight that were not taken. So everyone was pretty confused. This was just like a random act of violence. And the city of New Orleans at that time was like still like, it was a big city at the time, but it was still pretty small. So people were freaked out. And then just about a month later, Louis Bessemer and his mistress, Harriet Lowe, were discovered in a pool of blood. Bessemer had been struck with an axe above his right temple, and Lowe had been struck over her left ear. Both actually were still alive, but they were pretty fucked up. Immediately, the police expected this African-American man, I'm trying to say his name, Ubicon, who had attacked them, and both of the couples said he didn't do it, but you know, it's the 1918s and they arrested him anyway. But later, like, there wasn't enough evidence to keep him, so he got acquitted.
Did it say why they suspected him? Did he like live in the area?
The police suspected him because he worked for them, and he was the only person that like technically could have had access to
both the couples or
to the next couple. Okay. So there's still not a connection between the first couple and this next couple. All
right.
But they were both like fucked up with an axe is what happened.
That's like the name of a band. Fucked up with an axe. AXE.
So this first couple gets fucked up with an axe. The second couple gets fucked up with an axe. They're both still alive, and things are bad. And then one more month later. Oh, actually, another interesting tidbit is that Lowe, the wife got beat up with the axe, and her husband survived. They're both brought to the hospital, but Lowe, the wife, eventually died. And she died like a few days later in the hospital because of blunt force trauma and brain damage. And right before she died, she told them that she believed her husband, or not her husband, her fuckboy Bessemer, who had a different wife. He had a wife. His wife was
fuckboy. Is that your words or
that's my words? 1918 fuckboy. So Bessemer had a wife. She came home when his mistress was still in the hospital. It was a whole thing of drama. I wasn't going to include it because it would have like dragged this on way too long.
Okay.
But she accused him of being the one that like tried to kill them. But his head was so fucked up that it was like the jury acquitted him because it was like, there's no way he could fuck up his own head that bad.
Wow.
So next, on August 5th, again, like just this time it's like about a month and a half later, Anna Schneider, who was 8 months pregnant, awoke to a dark figure standing above her. She was bashed in the face repeatedly with the blunt side of an axe. She survived. And actually she gave birth to a healthy baby girl just a few days later. So that was a happy story in a way. She survived. But she also like she couldn't give any description besides a dark figure because she had been hit in the head and it all happened so fast. So no one has been able to, so there have been a lot of survivors, but no one's been able to give a good description. And so far everyone's been hit in the head with the blunt side of an axe, not the sharp side, interestingly enough.
Huh.
But the police believed at first she was hit with a lamp on her bedside table. I also have axe written here. I looked on a few sources that I listened in the beginning, and they all kind of said different things. It was kind of confusing, but her face was fucked up, basically.
Right. Yeah. I wonder what it would be like to like give birth, first of all, like in that situation, in that traumatic mindset. Because one thing that like has interested me for a long time is the whole process of gestation, and there's a lot of things that can affect.
Right, like if you have a traumatic, violent experience while you're pregnant, like if that can, a lot of times that could cause you to miscarry. But luckily, everything was okay. She still gave birth to a healthy baby.
Right,
that's a high point in this story. So hold on to that in your heart while things get a lot darker.
On so tight.
So just 5 days later, Joseph Romero was attacked. His nieces came into the room when they heard him screaming, and they caught a glimpse of his attacker fleeing. And they actually provided the first physical description, which was a dark, heavy-set man in a dark suit and a slouched hat, which is just so fucking creepy. Like
slouched hat?
The slouched hat and the dark suit. What does that mean? I don't know, but this was 1918, and so like it was close to 1920s, so I'm imagining kind of like a slouchy top hat. Kind of makes sense, but also just super
picture
creepy.
Like, what is that? Like the hat that like golfers wear. What is that called?
I don't know. It's just a slouchy hat. I'm not quite sure what
that means. He's wearing a beanie. He's a time traveler.
And so with this attack, actually, he was attacked with his own axe. And the way the attacker got in was he chiseled out a panel, like with the axe, he chiseled out a panel on the door. And so this is where I got kind of confused, and I couldn't find good enough evidence. So I heard about this case originally on several different true crime podcasts that I listened to, and the way they made it sound was that with most cases with this murderer, he chiseled out a panel on the door and was small enough to get through it. And that always kind of confused me because it was on the door. And so everything I read, it sounded like he chiseled out a panel on the door, reached his hand through and unlocked the door and then went in. And I think the confusion comes from, I think he re-locked the door when he left. So that's kind of creepy. And like another thing he did was a lot of times he would use the axe from the person's house and then carefully lean it back up against the door where he found it. And also this house, Joseph Romero's house, was ransacked. Like everything was ripped apart, strewn about, but he didn't take anything.
I need clarification. So you said he set the axe back up, like wherever it was. Like it makes sense in the early 1900s for people to have axes.
Right.
For firewood. That's the only thing I can think of other than murder right now. So how did he chisel his way in? Do they have like...
So there are wooden doors and he had an axe and he kind of like whittled away at the door.
So he had his own axe and then...
No. The axe was outside.
Oh,
You don't keep your axes inside. You chop wood outside. So the axes...
I don't even have an axe. I have a machete.
I'm trying to tell you. Axes belong outside.
Okay.
If you have an axe, you have it to cut wood outside. So people just leave their axes outside next to their wood pile, next to their house, whatever. And he would go in, take the axe. He didn't bring his own murder weapon. He would grab the axe outside, chisel away at the door, which would take some time and make some noise, and then he would go in. And it was also weird because this was just like 20 years after Jack the Ripper, who is in most of our minds like the first major serial killer ever to like grace the world, essentially. Like there aren't other well-known serial killers before him, and this guy was kind of like the next one, especially in the United States. And so it was just like all very strange. And then the fact that like there wasn't a clear motive. He would tear apart the house, didn't take anything. So at this point, there are 4 different instances. A few of these instances were couples. There are several victims, and the public is kind of in a state of terror. People were calling the police saying they see the Axeman. People were arming themselves, like staying up all night, guarding their houses. If he did steal, I think I read something. He maybe stole like $7 from one person.
What?
But it was clearly never motivated by money. So there was this person called John D'Antonio. He was a then retired Italian detective who made public statements, which he hypothesized that the man who had committed the Axeman murders was the same who had killed several individuals in 1911. And that actually goes back to the first chalk writing that I had. And police theorized that chalk writing that said Mrs. Joseph Maggio will sit up tonight, just write Mrs. Tony. The police theorized that this message referred to Mrs. Tony I didn't practice any of these names beforehand. I really should have. Shambra, who was one of a number of grocers of Italian descent killed in an attack during the period of 1911 through 1912. So basically 1911 through 1912, there were a bunch of Italian grocers that were attacked by someone with an axe. So that's kind of their only trend in who the victims are. So it's very interesting. Okay. But basically this detective described, he was kind of profiling this person before profiling, like criminal profiling was really a thing. Mm-hmm. So he described the potential killer as an individual who very likely could have been a normal law-abiding citizen who was overcome by an overwhelming desire to kill. So because nothing was taken, because there was no clear motive, this could have been just a normal person who was just possessed by wanting to kill people. And he did it in this very graphic, bloodthirsty way. Like he would slit people's throats, and then after they were bleeding out, he would bash their faces in with an axe. So these people weren't really connected in any way. Like he probably didn't know them personally, and he still killed them in a very Joseph Romano. Everyone else also, the MO was he got in by chiseling out a panel in the door and using the person's own axe. And so for a while, there weren't any murders. Joseph Romano was killed August 10th, 1918. And so there was a period of calm from then until March 10th, 1919. So about 5 or 6 months. I didn't really do the math. I'm doing it on the spot, but about 5 or 6 months.
He got his fix.
Everything was still like the police connected the dots, realized this was all the same killer. People were freaking out. And then there was a time period where everything was still until March 10th, 1919, when Rosie oh my God, these names, they're all Italian. Cortimangella awoke to find her husband Charles struggling with a large man wielding an axe. So she came in, she heard a struggle, came into the room, and her husband was struggling with a man carrying an axe. She was unfortunately carrying their 2-year-old daughter. And so she came in, found someone trying to kill her husband, and then that person saw her come in and turned on her and ended up, this is the saddest part of this story, murdering her 2-year-old daughter with the axe. And he severely injured Rosie, but she ended up surviving. And an interesting tidbit, originally when the police questioned them, Rosie and Charles, her husband, survived. Their daughter unfortunately did not. But Rosie originally blamed a rival grocer, Giordano, and his son Frank. And the two men were charged with the murder and found guilty. So an interesting thing, I didn't go into it with a bunch of the other attacks, but with most of these other attacks, someone was charged and found guilty, or charged and held in jail for around 90 days and then found acquitted with almost all of these. Whoa. So they were charging people that did not do this. And it's really sad. And I think I mentioned that the one worker for the other person that was charged and found, like, eventually acquitted. And the same thing happened. She accused these two people, Giordano and his son Frank, and Frank was sentenced to hang and Giordano was sentenced to life in prison. And Charles, the husband of Rosie, vehemently denied his wife's claims and filed for divorce shortly afterward. And eventually Rosie recounted her testimony, saying she just did it in spite and jealousy because they were rival grocers, and the men were released, thankfully, before Charles was killed. Or not Charles, Frank was killed. But yeah, so the baby daughter died. And so this was kind of the catalyst. So there were all these murders that kind of had the same MO. And then there was this other murder that was absolutely horrific. Like, a husband and wife were attacked, a baby was killed, and it kind of just sent the city into a spiral again. And terror overcame the city. Police were arming themselves. Citizens were arming themselves. People were freaking out. And then this attack happened on March 10th. And on March 14th, 1919, the Times-Picayune newspaper received a letter, and it was addressed from hell.
Oh My God. Like, I haven't said anything for what feels like so long. I have so many questions, but I'm so interested in what you're about to say all of the times.
Yeah.
I'm just listening. Okay. So a letter sent from hell.
So again, this is a super creepy case. No one has gotten a description on this person. He comes in very mysteriously in the middle of the night. He's attacked so many people and they're still alive and no one can give a description of him, and he just seems to disappear into the night.
But does the letter mean that like he wants to be noticed?
Just wait. I'm going to read it to you.
Details.
It's pretty long, but bear with me.
I'm listening.
Good.
Oh.
It starts, good. Esteemed mortal, they have never caught me and they never will. They have never seen me, for I am invisible, and as the ether that surrounds your earth. I am not a human being, but a spirit and a demon from the hottest hell. I am what you Orleanians and your foolish police call the Axeman. When I see fit, I shall come and claim other victims. I alone know whom they shall be. I shall leave no clue except my bloody axe, besmeared with the blood and brains of he who I have sent below to keep me company. If you wish, you may tell the police to be careful not to rile me. Of course, I'm a reasonable spirit. I take no offense at the way they have conducted their investigations in the past. In fact, they have been so utterly stupid as to not only amuse me, but his satanic majesty, Francis, Joseph, etc. But I tell them to beware. Let them not try to discover what I am, for it was better that they were never born than to incur the wrath of the Axeman. I don't think there is any need of such a warning, for I feel sure the police will always dodge me as they have in the past. They are wise and know how to keep away from all harm. Undoubtedly, you Orleanians think of me as the most horrid murderer, which I am, but it could be much worse if I wanted to. If I wished, I could pay a visit to your city every night. At will, I could slay thousands of your best citizens, for I am in a close relationship with the angel of death. Quite a threat. Now, to be exact, listen carefully. Okay. All right, listen carefully. Now, to be exact, at 12:15, in parentheses, earthly time, on next Tuesday, March 19th, 1919, I'm going to pass over New Orleans. In my infinite mercy, I am going to make a little proposition to your people. Here it is. I am very fond of jazz music, and I swear by all the devils in the nether in the nether regions that every person shall be spared in whose home a jazz band is in full swing at the time I have just mentioned. If everyone has a jazz band going, well, then so much better for you people. One thing is certain, and that is that some of your people who do not jazz it on Tuesday night in parentheses, if there be any, will get the axe.
If you don't jazz it, you're getting the axe, man.
Yeah, literally. Well, as I am cold and crave the worth of my native Tartarus, and
what does that mean?
Hell, I don't know.
Tartarus.
And is about the time I leave your earthly home, I will cease my discourse. However, hoping that thou will publish this, and I may go well with thee, I have been, am, and will be the worst spirit that have ever existed, either in fact or realm of fancy. Signed, the Axeman. So
that's pretty heavy.
It's pretty heavy. He's
like whole milk.
He's telling the city of New Orleans that he is a demon from hell who likes to kill them, but if they play jazz music, which he really likes, he won't kill them.
Is he an up-and-coming jazz musician?
So
he was trying to get
we'll
people.
Just skip ahead. So some people have theorized that this is all a ploy to like boost the status of jazz in New Orleans. And that's a pretty long shot kind of a theory, because obviously these are horrific murders and no one really could have foreseen that this would have worked, I guess.
Oh, wow.
And
okay.
It's just kind of ridiculous. But the paper did publish it, and on Tuesday, March 19th, everyone was playing jazz music.
I would. What's the worst possible thing that could happen?
Right.
You don't get murdered.
Yeah. People were really doing it. Every bar was filled. Dance halls were filled. Every single person who knew how to play jazz music, whether they were good or bad at it, was playing everywhere. Everyone's house was playing jazz music.
It makes sense to go somewhere public.
Yeah.
Because all of these murders have happened in your own home.
Right. People are scared.
Weapon.
So like whether or not they believe that like jazz music is going to stave them off, they're probably going to bars and music halls like just to get away, I would assume. But like if you have kids, you can't really do that. So you're playing jazz in your house or going to neighbors' houses where you have a jazz band. And lo and behold, as promised, no one was killed. So it was just this huge, crazy night in New Orleans where everyone was playing jazz and nobody was murdered.
To me, that seems like it was planned. Like he was like, I know this is, he or she was like, I know this is going to get attention. People are going to do what they think they should do.
Yeah.
And then nothing's going to happen. And then.
So nothing happened on March 19th. It was a good day. And for a few months after that, nothing happened. So people started to feel pretty safe. But then on August 10th, 1919, Steve Boca woke up to a dark figure looming over his bed. He suffered a blow from an axe, and like others, he couldn't remember the detail of his attack. And like others, also a panel was chiseled out by the door, and he was attacked by his own axe. Then on September 2nd, a local druggist named William Carson escaped the lethal Axeman when he fired several shots at the intruder who'd broken into his home. Again, the killer left a broken door and an axe behind. Then again, the very next day, on September 3rd, Sarah Lauman was attacked in her home. She was hit with the blunt end of an axe. She lost several teeth and suffered a severe head injury, but she did recover. But she couldn't remember any details of her attack. And again, the panel was chiseled out of her door and a bloody axe was discovered in her lawn.
Ooh.
And then nearly 2 months later on
Can you
October,
imagine mowing the lawn and you accidentally go over a bloody axe?
No. And that's not what happened, just to be sure.
A drunk brain train. I'm so sorry.
So the police found the axe.
It just messes up your whole lawnmower, like your push lawnmower in the 1918s.
Yeah, that would be awful, and that also didn't happen. So. Anyway, so that happened in September. Horrific, but she survived. And then 2 months later, on October 27th, 1919, grocer Mike Pepitone was slain. His wife went into their bedroom to find an axe-wielding man fleeing the scene and her husband's body covered in blood on their floor.
Oh, hell no. What do you even do at that time? You don't call 911. You scream your fucking head off.
Yeah, and I think that's what she did. I'm pretty sure. So I didn't include a lot of details in this because it would have been way too long, but I think she did scream her head off and then neighbors came in and helped her.
I need a facial. I need a back massage after this story. I need everything.
Yeah. So it's pretty cray. But again, she saw him flee and she was unable to describe any characteristics of the man at all. So many people have survived. I think I put at the very end, so he attacked 12 people. Only 5 of them were killed. Nobody gave a clear description of what he looked like.
Right. It's all this like dark figure with an axe that was also our own axe.
If that. Like, I think only a description came from that one guy's nieces. And everyone else was just like, yeah, someone ran it. Like, no one had a clear description, which makes it really interesting because so after this man was killed, so again, the last guy who the wife walked in on him fleeing the scene, he was again, there was a panel chiseled out on their door. he was killed with his own axe. So the MO is very clear. And so people are just trying to figure out what happened. This was the last ever victim. Authorities continued to work on the case, but nobody was ever caught. And so a lot of people, especially because this was 1919, and people were like, this was kind of the peak of the spiritualism movement, a lot of people thought this was a real demon because he wrote that letter and he came silently in the middle of the night, left without a trace. No one had a clear description, and he never got caught. And so people thought this was like maybe a real spirit that was breaking in and killing people. And you know what? You never know. So he was never caught. There are a lot of theories. A major theory is that this was something called the Black Hand, which kind of like referred to the mafia. So yeah, it was a name given to an extortion method used in Italian neighborhoods at this time, was the Black Hand. So it was thought to be like the mafia attacking people for unpaid debts. But there was never really any evidence to back this up. Never any evidence that these grocers had any debt to any kind of entity. So it was all super confusing. And again, like most of these people were Italian grocers. So you would think there'd be like something in their financial records that would tie them to some kind of entity that they were in debt to. And there wasn't any kind of evidence. So
you're giving me the biggest blue balls right now with this story. I want to know.
The only person who was ever a real subject is this person called Mumphrey. And so basically he led a blackmailing gang in New Orleans that targeted Italian Americans.
Why?
And in December 1920, a year after the Axeman struck his last victim, Mumphrey was shot by his widow in Los Angeles. And then kind of the killing stopped after he was shot. And also he served some time in prison coinciding between 1912 and 1918 when the Axeman attack stopped. So if you remember back when I talked about the chalk drawing and like there were murders against Italian grocers like in 1911 and then they stopped and then they started back up in 1918, he was in jail between 1911 and 1918. So he's kind of the only legitimate suspect. However, people have researched this serial killing and have never found any real evidence that someone named Joseph Mumphrey like being attacked in New Orleans or really ever existing. So he might just be an urban legend that people have created to explain these crimes.
That's how a lot of things start, in my opinion.
So nobody really knows. It's just kind of this mystery, and it sounds like an urban legend when you talk about it, but it's like these murders really did happen, and the city of New Orleans really was struck with such horror, and everyone really did play jazz music on this one night to stave off this murderer who many of them thought was really a demon from hell.
I really liked it. I'm glad that you shared it because I have so many questions, and now I want to go do research of my own to learn more about it.
It was great talking to you guys. Are you ready to sign out?
Yeah. Class is dismissed. That was so interesting.